Peace, peace, peace. Once again, I forgot to take this out of there. All right, so let me go over here real quick. Let me go into my layers. Let me take away this rap sheet. Because I'm still got to do my rap sheet. I want people to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't one of them dudes. Hey, if you want to judge me on the life I lived, let me lay it on the table for you so that way you know. I got a lot of people who will tell you shit based on what they feel wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? They telling you on what they see of me, you know? And that's cool. I don't really care what you see of me, but, you know, if you making that what other people see of me, did, you know what I'm saying, I must respond. Forgive me, I'm over here preparing some weed. So forgive me. Hold on, let me turn down it in my ears. Right? All right, all right. As you know, I do the blunt veils. I don't do Dutches. And as we go through this part right here, as we go through this whole series, it's gonna take like 6 months to complete. Um, Pardon me. Forgive me. I think I will. Oh no, that one is empty too. Uh, um, Throwing these damn rappers on the floor. Got to pick them all up anyway. Hold on. Yeah. All right. All right. Oh, by the way, yeah. This is my 50 Shades of Great right here. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's in a glad case and all that, so you probably can't see it too well. All right. Put that down. Happy spring. That's why you see the you know, the the pink color there. You know, I got the peach on, pink, whatever you fuck you want to call it. You know what I mean? So um you know, wanted to give a shout out, happy Easter to everybody who celebrates Easter. Hope you enjoying yourself. Hope you enjoying your day and your holiday. To the people who celebrate Ramadan, you know, more power to you and your holiday and your fasting. And, you know, well, the Jews ain't, their holiday is about to come, so I'll give them a shout out next week. You know what I'm saying? If you know why this whole thing is happening all at the same time. I done put videos up with, you know, the time and, you know, how they turned, you know, Julius Caesar into Jesus Christ. Superstar. So right now you celebrating, you know, the European rule and through Julius Caesar. You know, I did a whole thing on that. So you know, if you want, you could just go look into the Julius Caesar, the Vatican's dirty little secret. Pardon me, I'm over here rolling up. And I, you know, like I keep saying, I'm really doing the test right now because I'm trying to see if I use, you know, the weed as a hindrance or like as an aid, should I say? Because I'm not really a in the camera person, you know. So I think a lot of times, you know, I use it as like a sedative or a relaxive or something. I don't know. So I'm just seeing now. So while I'm rolling this here, let me introduce you to my new ad. Politics as usual. Oh, y'all ready? Boy Juice Wanna. Don't forget to check out Knock 'em Out the Box, Street Scalzi. That's a book that I wrote. And, Social Media Junkies Apparel. That way you can support. You know? So, I could say, hit the like, hit the bell, all of that stuff. But I just feel like if you like it or those type of things, I really shouldn't have to say that. If you want to find the person, where to find them. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, I don't really say that much. I'm really about to put up this my little, the press, the like. I got the whole thing. I got the let's see here. All right. All right. See the subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. All right. Then we got the gas. All right. Don't forget. All right. Take that off. Hey, so this is just some stuff I'm putting up there. So let's get into this, okay? Let's slide over to Now, but I do got, my little call outs. So this is what I mean. All right. Great leaders, a great leader is an ordinary person with extraordinary wisdom. So as we go through this journey, I have, those sayings and, I'll be applying them to the context that we are dealing with. All right. So let's slide over to what we are dealing with here. Let me change. That's my little ticker. So that way it'll go on as we go. All you gotta do is just follow right down there and you'll know what's taking place. All right. So the devil's workshop. When you spend all your time addressing a lie, when do you get a chance to get to the truth? Meaning, if you spend more time arguing over the lie, oh, this is this, yo, I can find me here. You spend more time in that, right, than getting to the truth. And so we're going to show you how they're able to keep this global chicanery, this global distraction, right? This is what we're going to get to. Right? Okay. Well, I have the music up in the background, you know? Like feeling comfortable, like, you know? So let's get into this, right? Yeah, hold on. I got some beats playing. Um, let me put this one for the people. It's in the background there. All right. So it goes. How the elite make slaves. Hmm. How they make slaves? Through hypnotism and magnetism. You wouldn't believe that, right? You wouldn't believe what those two words actually mean and how effective this tactic of chicanery is. They call it hypnotism and magnetism, and in some degrees, the magnetism is what I'm referring to, where the hypnotism I'll be breaking down. Most people know magnetism, they just don't know what it is. Okay, so slide up this. Now you can see I got the little ticker right there where it's saying, so that's when, if I see that ticker, I know to upload, push over to the next thing, right? So it says hypnotist is a human condition involving focused attention, the selective inattention hypnotist, SASI, reduced parallel awareness, and an enhanced capacity to respond to suggestion, right? So to understand what it, see a lot of this, now anytime you see the red, that means that I'm going into that section. So when you see it says suggestion, then I'm going to do a breakdown of that word because it's very important. If it wasn't, I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Because as they tell you, hypnotize, right, is a human condition involving focused attention, the selective attention, inattention, right? Reduced parallel awareness. All of that is gonna matter. You know what I mean? And an enhanced capacity to respond to suggestion, right? Suggestion is a psychological process and by which a person guides their own or another person's desires through feelings and behaviors by presenting stimuli that might elicit them to as reflexes instead of relying on conscious effort. Let's take Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, right? So the suggestion of Jada Pickett, right? The eye contact, those things are suggestive, meaning that you are automatically supposed to respond. Like how most women they don't want to ask because I don't like asking, so they'll suggest things, and you are just supposed to know. That's suggesting. That's hypnotic because it's a condition of grooming you into being a certain way. So after a while, you don't even know that you were groomed into this. And so then a person doesn't even have to, you already know. Suggestion, right? So instead of relying on conscious efforts, meaning, so they can guide you to do what they want, or they can, push themselves in this way, right? Um, through feelings and behaviors. But the thing is, you are no longer relying on your consciousness. You making the best decision. Will Smith. The backlash of him being in that trance, knowing that this person doesn't love you, but you are constantly trying to please them. That's a trance. That's a hypnotic spell. You are enthused with the person, even when they tell you that they have nothing like that for you, right? they even will raise your kids to disrespect you because they never cared about you. And so once they're at a level of taking it all, they don't care about you. They destroyed you. And so, we deal with the Eastern Stars and those type of people. Right? This is, and I'm going to prove these things. Right? Through this whole thing. 19th century writers in psychology, such as William James, used the word suggest in suggesting in the context of a particular idea, which was said to suggest another when it brought that other idea to mind. Meaning, when say you most people, because I'm gonna go through TV shows and stuff like that, meaning an underlying meaning, the suggestion, well, we already, how I feel about that, yo, so you are now without thought supposed to just react. And that's how and so the reason why I keep bringing Will Smith is because the suggestive of protect your woman. And so you see the debate within, right? So then that becomes a trigger word. And I'm gonna show you how this works. I'm using him as a great example because I already did the show on Chris Rock and the witches with the bald heads and all of that. So for me, it was like, hey, I already put you on. I already told you this was coming. What you think I kept mentioning him and telling you that, even the show Fargo was all these suggestions are already placed within the show. So after we go through this and I'm breaking down suggestion and all of these things, then when we go to the shows and the movies and the music and all of that, you will have a full understanding instead of watching, these people, hey, look at this right here, and that's what that means. And they don't know that they are actually aiding and abetting in the technology. Ruby red grapefruit juice. Okay. Right. Suggesting and suggestions. In the context of a particular idea which was said to suggest another and brought that other idea to mind early to mind, right? Right? It says early scientific studies of hypnosis by Clark Leonard Hall and others extended the meaning of these words in a special and technical sense, right? The original neurology theory of hypnotic suggestion was based on the Edimore, I'm sorry, Meteor reflect response that William B. Carpenter declared in 1852 was the principle through which James Braid's hypnotic phenomena was produced. So, get prepared for James Braid, okay? All right, so now we go to the next ticker, which is hypnotics, right? Altered state of mind. So I gave you a understanding of suggestion in a way. That's the outwardly, but written wise, suggestion is the undertone in a story, meaning that as the story progresses, there's actually a progression within the character themselves. So that character, due to visual, you are placed in that. That's why camera angles and all of those things matter, right? So within the context of the story, suggestion is placed. And so then when you go out into society, you have another unit, Freemasons, right? Let's say, who know these phrases, and so they use them to push you in a direction within a group. So you will be used, whoever took that suggestive message, right, will now be the device to spread that information to others. So, and that can work in other ways as well. So, it goes. There are competing theories explaining hypnosis and related phenomena. Altered state theories see hypnosis as an altered state of mind. So then we go into, right? There is a general definition of an altered state of consciousness, as many definitions, differential attempts would first have to rely on a definition of normal state of consciousness. That's the first sign of technology. You see, because it's placing one thing. So your first question would be what, right? What is an altered state of mind, right? And so then the devil would question you, well, what would be a regular state of mind, right? Normal state of consciousness attempts to define the term can, however, be found in philosophy, psychology, and neuroscience. There is no final consensus what the most accurate definition for what purpose is. And the following, the best established and latest definitions are provided. Arnold M. Ludwig attempts first definition in 1966. So to even understand, this science, to it becoming a science, right? We see that, the medical field decided let's explore, you know, how to define a regular state of mind, because they realize that the altered state of mind has been set forth in so many levels. So first you would have to cleanse yourself of all the hypnotic suggestions that you have already been under for you to even know Right, right. So forgive me, I'm over. I was looking for a lighter. I don't know. I'm looking all around. Nonetheless, well, you know what? I could just go on break real quick. Give me a second. All right, all right. Forgive me. Forgive me. I don't even have my lighter, so after I smoke this, shit, I'm gonna have to wait till the next break to even smoke again. If I smoke again. So, right? An altered state is any mental state induced by various psychology, psychological, and pharmaceutical maneuvers or agents. Think about that. Think about it. Psychological, physiological, or pharmaceutical maneuvers or agents. Maneuvers. Agents is an outside entity, right? So you could have maneuvers, meaning how they shift you through words and other things, or they can just give you a fucking drug and get it over with. So I will be dressing the maneuvers, right? It says maneuvers, which can be recognized subjectively by the individual himself or an objective observer of the individual, right? Meaning, a person could tell if you are manipulating them, right? Now it's on them whether or not they want the manipulation. Like me, I'm the type of person, I see corny shit and it really, like, it doesn't bother me if I'm not going to be around it. Like, so I see a lot of sucker shit, and people assume because I call out the bitch ass fuck sucker shit that, oh, he calls it all out. Nah, I don't call it all out. To be honest with you, I don't call it all out. I don't put that energy into that. You know what I mean? So with that, you would assume, or they would assume that they getting over. And you're like, well, I don't know what you getting over on. I mean, it might benefit you in a world that I'm not in. You know what I'm saying? But it's not going to benefit you or for me, because the minute I see you trying to manipulate me in a way that is gonna, like that, I'm gonna cut you short. You know what I mean? So if I see a person trying to use me, you know, in that way, I'm cutting it short. If I see you using my words most of the time to benefit you, I don't give a fuck. Fuck, I care. Providing that I don't know, like, say I say something. I know that what I say could be twisted and construed. If I'm not there to see it, what do I care? If the person ain't wise enough to ask me and they taking the person that got the information from me, well, then that's on them too. I really can't do nothing about those things. I'm not there. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. But I do see when individuals are being manipulated. You understand what I'm saying? Whether through my words or other things. You observant. And so that's what they mean when people pointed out the Jada look. They observant. They see it. They see the violation, the no respect. And that's what they're talking about. You know, observe of the individual as repeated representing sufficient divisions, I'm sorry, in subjective experience, right, of psychology functioning from certain general forms for that individual during alert waking consciousness, right? An altered state is any mental state induced by various physiological, psychological, or pharmaceutical maneuvers or agents, right? Somebody on the outside manipulating you, right? Somebody, whether forcing you, right? Or using drugs in order to get you to do MK Ultra, right? Right. So this is basically MK Ultra, right? In 1966, right? Right. When it was, remember, this is crack cocaine being developed. This is all of that really being worked on before they send it out into the streets to do they test. I'm gonna break all of this down. Everything that I'm saying is not gonna be left, unaddressed, right? As representing sufficient deviations in objective experience of psychological functioning from certain general norms for that individual during alert waking consciousness. Meaning that your normal routine, right? So this is, like how, somebody calls the cops, I think something is wrong, I didn't see them, right? Or what's the dude, the Jack, what's his name, Jack or something like that? The black guy who supposedly did the shooting, right? But then you have all of these other elements to provide all of that to be questioned, right? So then we got, starting from this, Charles Tart focus his definition on the subjective experience of a state of consciousness and its deviations from the normal waking state. Altered states of consciousness are altered patterns or configurations of experience which differ qualitatively from a baseline state, right? So, right, hold on. Right, so we got altered state of consciousness or altered patterns or configurations of experience. So, when you have a group of people right in front of you, rewriting history, rewriting meanings, that's what you get. And I'll explain how this is all being done. So, like, I don't want to keep stopping on those things because we're really going to get into it. But I want to make sure that we all understand what is being said. Furthering definitions of an altered state of consciousness, ASC, is based on Charles Tart's terminology. Charles Tarts described an altered state of consciousness as a profound change in the overall patterns of subjective experience. In order to define an ASC, Tart focuses on the importance of subjective experience. Furthering faltering adds to his definition. My fault, I can't see that. Definition that an ASC is short termed or at least reversible, in that it might not even be recognized as an ASC at that moment. This definition relies only on subjective experience, leaving aside behavioral changes and psychological responses. An altered state of consciousness, ASC, may be defined as a temporary change in overall patterns and experiences, such as the individual's believes, such that the individual believes that his or her mental functioning is distinctly different from certain general norms for his or her normal waking state of consciousness. This is in 92. This is where I feel like the definition starts being buried. You'll understand. He lists 13 dimensions of changed subjective experience to account for an ASC. Multiple dimensions needed to be altered, right? As recent working definitions for experiment empirical research is based on these previous definitions and provided by Schmitz, translated from German. Pay attention, okay? As a working definition for neuroscientific research, it might suffice to presume that most people have a strong intuition concerning which variability in their everyday wakeful state feels normal to them. This variabilities of experience is considered as normal fluctuation. I'm sorry, this weed's starting to kick in. While any state that is experienced to diverge significantly from it can be called an ASC. From the experimental perspective, It is also reasonable to compare ASC conditions to a baseline state, a state subjectively judged as average or normal. The comparison with it normal baseline requires that the ASC under investigation is of relatively short duration, minutes or hours. Will Smith, right? Which differentiates ASCs from most psychological conditions. Importantly, see, because manipulation, right, is different from long term. You understand what I'm saying? There's two different forms of manipulation, right? So where we at here? Psychological conditions. Importantly, it has been emphasized that the ASC is not a mere quantitative change in a single cognitive function, elevated arousal. Like, ooh, you understand what I'm saying? Instead of instead, it is a multi-dimensional phenomenon. Thereby, the relative intensity of multiple conscious aspects constitutes a phenomenological pattern characterized, pardon me here, characterize a particular state. Such patterns have also been referred to as relative change in the basic dimensions of consciousness. For experimental research, such patterns correspond to a multivariate combination of independent conscious factors which can be qualified via questionnaires. The psychological pattern results from the factor structures of the applied psychometric assessment, i.e., the individual rating or factor score of a questionnaire. See, that's when I told you. Now it becomes a thing of leading a person through the questioning. How you question somebody can trance them as well, right? So here we're getting into a trance, right? That's now, mind you, we just covered, right? Right, we in here. So we go altered state of mind, right? And so you look at Will Smith and you understand what people are saying happened. Here goes, quote unquote, this simp dealing with this lady, right? Who you know she's all of this, and you put in this position that you still have to prove your love because you have been manipulated through the years to that, turning your kids, utilizing all of these things to make you bend to their will. That's just basically the short of that. How to describe that. All right. Hold on a minute here. All right. So let's go back down. So now you understand what an altered state of mind is. It's when you would normally just be chilling or something, and something puts you in another state of mind quickly, right? We're where now we're in a trance. We're in his 1995 book, Trance From Magic to Technology, defines a simple trance as a state of mind being caused by cognitive loops where the cognitive objective, a thought, an image, a sound, or an intentional action repeats long enough to result in various sets of disabled cognitive function. The whole 90s, all you seen was the death count and the news, and they was doing this in all the major cities, talking about how many people died this year, and it was like this competition of most deadliest city. Then they put out in the movies Boys in the Hood, where one in every, what is it, like 25, it was something where you had like this low number of survival rate. And so then it becomes repetitive, it becomes repeative within your music, within what's that, NWA, and Ice Cube, and not to say that necessarily they did it. It was already placed within that context, so others might take it and use it, to emphasize their point. But what do they missing is the fact that that information generates outward, and it becomes the trigger. You are in the trance because it has been repeated, right? Mind causing a cognitive loop where a cognitive object, a thought, an image, and I'm going to show you all of this, an image, a sound, and internal action repeats a long enough and to result in various sets of disabled cognitive functions. I'm sorry. We represents all trances, which includes deep sleep and watching TV. Because while you are watching TV, you are being put into a sleep. And that's why they made the movie night, and and if you watch it without them, and this became the 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 dose, because we do know TV is called programming. So now you must get your weekly dose of this medication, of this reality, right? So that's why they told you in the above statement of it's hard to describe an altered state due to the fact that you was put into the spell the day before, in the week, and before. When was you ever in your state of mind? When did you ever turn off the TV? When did the TV and the radio not be the main objective of conversation in your day? Think about the course of your day with dealing with anybody you dealing with. When is that not a major part of it? So those are the loops. Okay? So it takes as taking place on a disassociated trance plane where at least some cognitive function, such as a um, such as violations are disabled. Volitions are my fault. I'm sitting there like volitions are disabled. I'm trying to see if y'all can hear the music. That's why I keep stopping. As it's seen in what is typically termed as hypnotic trance, which like let me see with this definition, meditation, hypnosis, addiction, and charisma are seen as being trance states, right? Do you see what that says from right here? Representing a trance, which includes sleeping, watching TV, as taking place on a disassociated trance plane, where at least some cognitive function, such as volitions, are disabled, is seen in what is typically termed as hypnotic trance. With this definition, meditation, hypnotist, addiction, charisma are seen as being trance states. In Wiz 22 or 2007 book, The Ways of Trance, he elaborates on these forms as ecstasy as an additional form, discusses the ethical implications of his model, including magic and government use, which term trans abuse. And so that's what we'll be addressing. The government's use of this. We will be addressing how this has always been a function that they have used to control the people. John Horgan in Rational Mysticism, that's going to mean something to you, explores the neurology, mechanisms, and psychological implications of trances and other mystical manifestations. Horgan incorporates lectures and case studies from a number of disciplines in work: chemistry, physics, psychology, radiology, and theology. You're gonna see how all of these is the foundation of controlling you. Like, people always looked at me funny, and I tell them I don't watch TV and all of that, right? So let me give you The Sopranos, right? This right here is a keystone, right? As you can see, hold on, let me see if I can take myself away. Hold on, my fault. I can't. I forgot to log it in. Well, anyway, as you see, now mind you, if you go into Freemasonry, you will see the keystone, right? So hold on, let me see if I can find it for you. But anyway, we'll go into that in a second, because all you got to do right here, so I can see it for you now, right? So you see the arc, right? You see the keystone, right? So when people are looking, they are telling you things and they don't understand what they are truly pointing out. The arc is representing the two separate mentalities, right? The female and the male, and they're all coming together under what? This, right? But if you notice right here, hold on, let me see if I can zoom in. Right, right, okay. If you notice right here, you see the gathering of the ladies, right? If you look right here, what do you see again? You see the gathering. But what do you also see here? You see the keystone, the secret. And what is also so the gathering of all of the information, right? And taking it back to utilize it. And at the bottom it says what? The Mason's wife giving away the secret. You see it, right? We see that right there? Are we clear? Are we clear? Hmm? Are we clear right now on what we're seeing here? Right? Are we clear right now on what we're seeing here, people? Right? We see that, right? We see exactly the same symbol, right? We see exactly the gathering up on top, right? We see it, right? So we see that now. So now, inside of what you're seeing, you are being placed in a trance. You're getting your daily dose of what is being promoted. So now, if you went back into The Sopranos, right, and you watched the show, and as you was watching it, you saw what was being promoted, the psychology, right? At the last season, they brought in the homosexuality, and yeah, because you in jail, all of the key talking points to put it out into the street. Technology, hypnotism, a system of being led because everybody knows what to promote, to push the person or people in a direction. All of these things you can go look up yourself. Freemasonry is about hypnotism. It's a system, and we're going to get into this. All right? marked by a level of awareness different from ordinary state of consciousness. In contrast, non-state theories and hypnotize as variously a type of placebo effect, a redefinition of an interaction, okay, with a therapist, right? Or form an imaginative role enhancement. So when you go into the psychiatrist, and that's why I tell people stay away from that. Do not, mental health is real. Nobody can deny if mental health is real. You know what I'm saying? That's not the argument here. Everybody should have a healthy mind. The best way to have a healthy mind is not having somebody in yours, in a system that is already set up based on manipulation and lies. It's about pushing you in a direction that they are in a unit of. And you'll see, this is why you've seen the takeover take over. This is why you've seen everything that you see happening. Okay. During hypnosis, a person is said to have heightened focus and concentration and an increased response to suggestion. Hypnosis usually begins with hypnotic instructions involving a series of preliminary instructions and suggestions. So whenever you see the green, I just want you to really focus on that. You know what I mean? The highlight. I'm using the green as my highlight and my red as to go deeper into the subject, right? The blue is just, me. I can literally take you to the page, I'm in Word. So I can literally go from Word and take you to the website to show you that this is coming off of the internet. This is not me making this up, right? So this is information that anybody can look up, right? Hypnosis use okay. The use of hypnosis as therapeutic purposes is referred to as hypnotherapy, while the use as a term of entertainment for audience is known as stage hypnosis in a form of mentalism, right? Hypnosis for pain management is likely to decrease acute and chronic pain in most individuals. Hypnosis-based therapy for the management of irritable bowel syndrome in menopause is supported by evidence. Pay attention to that. I need you to pay attention to that, right? This, right? Hold on there. Bring this up for you here. Take this like a 14, right? Is supported by evidence. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We gonna get into it. The truth will be exposed. You stick around in 6 months, it'll all be laid out to you. Right? I'm telling you the system of freemasonry. Right? And why it has such a grip. Because the people who go in are now under a different bind. They find out that, damn, man, I'm watched everywhere. All the dirt that I can do and did. You understand what I'm saying? Um, as let's go over here again. Right? On my phone. Right, so it says where we at? Use of hypnotists in a term treatment of other problems has produced mixed results, such as smoking cessations. The use of hypnosis as a form of therapy to retrieve and integrate early trauma is controversial within scientific mainstream. Why? Research indicates that hypnotizing an individual may aid in the formation of false memories, in that hypnosis does not help people recall events more accurately. Since I'm smoking, I don't want to just smoke that shit up. Like, I don't know, it starts messing with my nose and shit. Like in the I had to wash my shit like every time I do a show, man. You know what I mean? That should be crazy as shit. Um, okay, yeah. And that hypnosis with does not help people recall events more accurately because it is suggestive. It's suggestive. It can't help you bring something back that they wasn't there for. And since you relying on them telling you something, they could put anything in there. They know that because this is a system that is designed to put stuff in there. So they warn you on this ethical value, right? In the mainstream, the integrity, right? Integrate early trauma and controversial within the scientific mainstream. Let's go to the next header right here. What we got? The etymology, right? See how that flows up there like that? Right, here we go. The word hypnotist, right, and hypnotism both derive from the term neurohypnotism, nervous sleep, all of which were coined by, like, I'm gonna just call him Felix, okay? De Covella, right, in 1820. Felix de Cavola was a French magnetizer and an early practitioner of mesmerism as a scientific discipline. He's best known for coining the term hypnotize. So then we're gonna get into your listen, man. This is how this has all been a sham, right? It's a system. And they was able to hide themselves under this scientific, put it under scientific. And now you have a system that's set up to manipulate you. There's like many other systems that were set up under the same system of operation. You'll see right now. We'll get into that right now. Right? Disciplines, right? He's best known for the term hypnotism. Right? Hypnotism versus mesmerism. Right? De Colville was a follower of Franz Anton Mesmer. However, unlike Mesmer, he did not believe in the existence of a magnetic fluid, an animal magnetism, and instead emphasized the role of mental process and mesmerism. In his book, La Magnerism, I ain't gonna do that. The Enlightened Magnetism, he describes account of mesmeristic effects in terms of belief and suggestibility. Right? So you see it. This is the person, right, who's countering, because that's what the whole objective. It's just like how you see, right, you see capitalism is, giving birth to communism. And communism is basically the second, to last stage. Because once all the big players lock down their sections, then they got to battle out. We'll get into all of this. This system that's being used, it's ancient. It's an ancient system. It's not something that just came up yesterday. All right. So you're gonna understand this. So, right, he goes, his book, the Enlightened Magnetism. He describes account of mesmeric effects in terms of belief and suggestibility. He is credited for popularizing a system of what he says. He is popularized for popularizing a system of scientific normality by using the prefix hyphen, hype, hip, hippin, like hypno, and such words as hypnotic, right? Hypnotism, hypnotist. He used these terms as early as 1820 and is believed by many to have coined these names. In 1820, he became editor of the Archives of Magnetism, Archives of Animal Magnetism. The term hypnotist is derived from the ancient Greek hypnos, sleep. And they not even the originators, but right, and the suffix, right, hypnos, put to sleep, and thus these words were popularized in English by Scottish surgeon James Braid, to whom sometime, right, to whom, where we at, to whom they are sometimes wrongly attributed. Around 1841, Braid based his practice on that developed by Franz Mesmer in his followers, which was called mesmerism or animal magnetism, but different in theory as how to produce, know how the procedure worked. You are probably still lost, right? You probably once again, like, yeah, okay, but I'm not understanding what that means. Think of sleight of hand. Three card Monty would be the best. If anybody has ever played three card Monty, you would know it's not just the person who's doing the cards. You know that there's somebody on the side egging you on. That's suggestion. You have somebody else over here hyping it up. That's suggestion. The thrill and the excitement. You're mesmerized by the situation. You feel a part of. Come on. The female, yeah. The geeky white guy. You are enthused. You are mesmerized. Show. Remember when it said up top? What it said? It said, right? Because we already know about belief and suggestibility, right? But then it said supports no evidence, right? But then it's I told you about the so we're not even gonna there's one part where they was alluding to it. Okay, was followers, right? He had a whole group who was running around and doing their system, right? James Braid was what? Scottish. Scottish, right. We're going to get into that, right? And gentleman scientist. We can go into this from here, right? Hold on my phone. Right, right. Go over here. Independent scientist. An independent scientist, also known as a gentleman scientist, is a financially independent scientist who pursues scientific studies without direct affiliation to a public institution such as a university or government ran research development body. I would be, an independent scientist, and because if mesmerism is a science, I'm studying that science. You understand what I'm saying? I'm studying the science of mesmerism, just like they studying it, so I'm studying it along with them. You know what I'm saying? And now you can study with me and see if I'm correct. Right? I'm sure when what my findings are, you can tell me if I'm correct on these findings, right? He was a scientific, significant innovator in the treatment of clubfoot, spinal, right, knock knee, brandy, all of this stuff, right? a significant pioneer in hypnotism and hypnotherapy, and an important influential pioneer in the adoption of both hypnotic amnesia, well, I don't know that word, and chemical amnesia, right? He also regarded by some such as Kroger as the father of modern hypnotism. And modern hypnotism practiced, let alone identity, right? Whatever his name is, urges the most caution in making such an assumption. Why? Let me show you why. It goes, it has been a basic assumption of modern 20th century hypnotism that is founded on the same phenomenological it's historically evolved from, such different as the existence between older version of hypnotism and new ones being reduced largely to a matter of interpretation of fact. Meaning, let me explain what that means to you. Before the hustle was, what you call them, the snake oil salesman, and those type of things and shit. Those are all part of the hustle. So now they've learned to just simply use words to hypnotize you. That's why you'll see a lot of them pointing, to the book and stuff like that as their way of locking you into a system, because they mastered the terminologies within that area. So say you are a painter. Within the use of talking about paint will be another language, but that language would be hypnotic to draw you in through most likely chicanery, meaning that it'll be on, but it'll be off, right? So it'll pull you into it because of curiosity or irritation. So, nah, that ain't right information, right? So now you're caught up in that, right? And it's working because these two people are in agreement on foolish information. So that foolish information spreads. False information spreads, and you can locate the group by the words and the terminology in which it was set out. We'll be getting into all of this, right? Is right. So elements is not questions, but that there is full identity and questionable and basic untestable, right? Like I told you, this whole system we're gonna go over and look at the Scotch for, right? Also in relation to a clinical application of hypnotism. Although Braid believed his hypnotic suggestion was a valuable remedy in functioning nervous disorder, he did not regard it as a as viable in other forms of treatment, nor was in any way to separate its practice from that of medicine in general. He held that, however, whoever talked of the universal remedy as either was either a fool or saw a knave. We know what a knave is. A criminal, like somebody, somebody trying to con you. Like, dude. Peace. Throw my hat up here real quick. Let's talk. Right? What I was saying is basically the devil can convince you sick, right? And he can convince you that he can give you the cure. But in that is not gonna be the cure. He can convince you sick. He can convince you he has the cure. But he cannot produce the cure with simply convincing you of it. He can't suggest to you you don't have, a missing leg. He can convince you that you can do anything with that one leg. But he can't convince you that you have a new leg. If you understand what I'm saying. So this is a system of a hustle. It's a universal con. The ultimate hustle, but it's even hustling the hustlers. That's the illest hustle. And we gonna show you now. Similar diseases often arouse from opposite pathological conditions, and the treatment ought to be veered accordingly, meaning that you're not just thinking you sick because somebody convinced you sick. There are real illnesses, and so there really needs to be a medical practice addressing that, not a whole bunch of placebos and people trying to get rich off of it. All right. It goes, Braid first observed the operation of animal magnetism when he attended a public performance by a traveling French magnetic demonstrator, demonitor, whatever the fuck. Right? This Lafontaine, which is funny. That's like my family's, one of my family's last names and shit. At the Manchester Athenaeum on Sunday, the 13th of November, 1881. And what is this? Whatever this place is, Neurology, right? 1843, page 34 and 35. He states that prior to the encounter with Lafontaine, he had already been totally convinced by a 4-part investigation that animal magnetism, published in the London Medical Gazette, right, in 1883, that there was no evidence of the existence of any magnetic agencies for any such phenomenon. The final article, last paragraph reads, oh, let me go with my phone. Uh, uh, my fault. Bring that back up to you. I forget I went on the break and shit. Where we at? So we over. So yes, see, he's basically making this statement, right? He's saying that, yo, listen, man, it's just bullshit, man. They go, this then, in conclusion of our case, every credible effect of magnetism has occurred, and every incredible is said to have occurred in cases where no magnetic influence has been exerted, but in all which excited imagination. Right? See right here? you know, irritation or some powerful mental impression has what it says operated where the mind has been alone acted on. Magnetic effects have been produced without magnetic manipulation, where magnetic manipulations have been employed, unknown and therefore without the assistance of the mind. No result has ever been produced. Why? Then imagine a new agent which cannot act by itself and which has never yet ever seemed to produce a new phenomenon. Meaning, you take a magnet right now and you rub that shit across your body and you see if you get the effects that for some fucking reason when he came along and did it, and the people that was riding with him, all of a sudden that shit was happening. AKA the snake oil salesman. You dig? You know what I'm saying? So he's like, yo, listen, you coming out here with these these magnets. Someone prove that the magnets, work. That's all. Just show that the magnets work. You dig? That's what he's saying. And, so he's approaching it in the same way I would approach it. But then he's in on the hustle. How do you know? Watch. And along with the strong impression made upon Braid by the Medical Gazette article, there was also the more recent impression made by Thomas Wakely, exposed of the comprehensive fraud of John Ellerton, subject, the Oakley sisters. So basically, in this, we're gonna get into it. It's gonna come up, so I'm not gonna really stress it here. But they was basically brought in, a team to find out how realistic this was. Right? So it goes, all of which determined me to consider the whole as a system of conclusion of illusion or of excited imagination, sympathy, or imitation. So you can always tell those people in the trance because they're caught up in this excitement of imagination. Imagine, yo, um, just a whole bunch of stuff that ain't real that appeals to the imagination. That's a whole system. Sympathy. All of these things. Imitation. Just wanting to be down. Gangs, stand like this, and you can tell the trance because they got them standing in a certain way. Remember when I pointed out the gangs? This is why I pointed them out. This is why they was pointing out. They was pointing out due to the fact that they were being put in that trance. Go and look at those videos and you will see. Look at the video I put up on that. And then you'll understand the repetitiveness of what a gangster is supposed to be. They put those things out there. So the things that you see now is the repetitiveness of the youth today. But what you ain't looking at is what they're teaching the youth of tomorrow. Because remember, even while they're looking up to their older brothers and sisters, they're also putting in a conflict for them as well. You don't understand. You don't get it. So in order to nip that in the bud, you have to really focus on that, and all the other stuff you're not even supposed to have on. If you're gonna not monitor at all. I mean, if you're monitoring, then everything is a whole different thing. And then by then you're supposed to have, the team telling you what's the agenda and the suggestiveness of these TV shows, musics, because there's a unit that's spreading this out. Freemasons. And so they catch you with all of these different avenues of mesmerism that you had when you was growing up. And so there's a system that's going to be in place in all of those to indoctrinate you and keep moving forward. Right? Therefore, abandon the subject of unworthy of further investigation until I attended the conversation of La Fontaine, where I saw one fact: the inability of a patient to open his eyelids, which arrested my attention. I felt convinced it was not to be attributed by any causes referred to, and I therefore instituted examination to determine the question. The the exhibit the, and exhibited the results to the public in a few days after. There go the hustle. While disputing one, the magnet, the assistant inability to open their eyes, as so it seems, gives credit to the hustle, meaning that I'm gonna move in on your game. But the only way to move on your game is to give it some credibility, because if I don't, then how can I get in on the hustle? You see the logic in this shit? This shit is a twisted ass game. You know what I mean? It's a mind game, and you are all the fucking, the fucking puppets in this shit. I'm not using it because I'm exposing it to you. and felt convinced it was not to be a true, right? It goes emphasis added, right? Braid also maintained that he had gone to LaFontaine's demonstration as an open minded skeptic, eager to examine the present evidence at hand. At first hand, that is rather than entirely dependent on reading or hearsay evidence for his knowledge of it. And then from that evidence, form a considered opinion of La Fontaine's work. He was neither a closed minded cynic, intended to on destroying La Fontaine, nor a deluded and naively courteously believing, seeking authorization of his ready formed belief. Meaning, he didn't walk in there trying to destroy his hustle. But he did go in there, trying to see if it was real, meaning that I'm gonna be observing what you offering. So the hustle is that I'm this fair, an impartial person. And that's why I'm stating the appearance of, meaning that the growth and elevation of this. Braid was amongst the medical men who were invited into the platform by La Fontaine. Braid examined the physical conditions of La Fontaine's magnetized subject, especially their eyes and their eyelids, and concluded that they were indeed in quite a different physical state. Braid also stressed the significance of attending La Fontaine's conversation. Right? Well, let me see if that goes into that now. I want to take you to this. Hold on. Not my fault. Right. Close you. A conversation. I don't know if y'all can even see that. I think that's too far for y'all. Um, right. A conversation, a social gathering, right, held by learned or art society for conversations and discussion, especially about art, literature, medicine, and science. What does that sound like? Oh, y'all don't know what the Bohemian Grove is? So if you don't think that, people like Jay-Z and all of them are in it or were in it at some point in time, because you got to be in this for like 40 years before certain things. So it's how you operate behind closed doors that push the people, right? It would not be easy to derive a happier way than, right, the conversation of being novelty at once under practical circumstances of being made, right? This is, right, so you see right here, the statistics is the data point that differs in significant forms of observation, right? And that made due to visible to measurements, right? Anyway, the science adequate descendants to enable investigation to compare operations and discuss facts and speculations, and given occasions for renewal or of intercourse or removal of understandings. These are the people that decide what you are going to think, how you are going to move. These are the people. So when you thinking, oh, it's just limited to Bohemian Grove or whatever, that might be the American equivalent, but that's not the end all because those unions happen in different places. The tangible gain to science from the is that inventors and experimentalists hear directly what contemporaries say of their schemes and experiments, and much can be said and done with advantage to admit the free talk of the general. Right. So in this, what I'm hoping that you getting is you know the path of modern technology, the path of how it's coming about. Because I'm just in the modern time at the present moment, while taking a little step back. I'm showing you how there's a system which we commonly referred to as Bohemian Grove, right? And so we don't understand within that system of what is really happening and how you are being sacrificed in this way. You are being utilized through a system. Now, the part that I was reading to you was very, very important, right? Because this right here is gonna take it to a whole different level, right? I'm sorry if I was low there. It goes. It would not be easy to derive a happier way than the conversation of bringing a novelty of wants under practical criticism, of making the outlier of science acquainted with the center of enabling investigators of wait of science acquainted with the center, meaning that those who were utilizing you for these experiments, right, are earning their way in to discuss whether or not they should end or keep going. If I should say, it goes like this, right? Science and for of enabling investigators to compare operations and discuss facts and speculation, and of giving occasions of renewal of intercourse and removal of misunderstanding. The tangible gain to science from the conversation is that inventors and experimentalists hear directly what contemporaries say of their schemes and experiments. And much can be said and done with the advantage amid the free talk of the general gathering, and which could not be permitted in the formal meeting of a scientific society. This is 1870, right? And the reason why I want you to pay attention to that is, hold on, right? And so the reason why I want you to pay attention to that is it's for a very important reason actually. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. I wanted to pull it up over here first. Um because there's a story that's very important. Hold on, forgive me. Um Let me bring this up for you. Okay, hold on. Right. Philadelphia body snatchers. Yeah, hold on. Let me see if this is the story. City life. Right? City life. In a gruesome story of betrayal, 241 corpses were hacked apart by their and their organs and tissues sold for transplants. Dan Orphan's mother Rose self. Now is this the one? I think this is a book. No, this is not it right here. Let me see. No, this ain't it. Sorry, fellas. That's why I like to go over that. I wasn't really planning on bringing this part up yet. It's gonna come up later, but I wanted to, let's see, Wes. Okay, I think this is okay. Board of Buzzards, medical grave robbing. Right. Okay, here we go. Well, for the discrete table, right? For its discreting tables, the University of Pennsylvania Medical School purchased cadavers stolen from the ground in the Blackley Almshouse. Right? Body snatchers, grave robbers, blows, blizzards, resurrectionist. All these titles refer to those paid to venture into burial grounds and steal freshly buried bodies for autonomous until the passing of the 1883 Anatomy Act in Pennsylvania, which effectively ended the practice and difference between demanded the cadavers and media, medica schools, and the availability of corpses of criminal and suicides to legal discreet meant that many Americans fear that their bodies would be frivolously taken from recent field plots and carted to nearby automated halls. Public protest against these practices in Philadelphia traced to at least 1765 when William Shippen, the first professor of anatomy at the University of Pennsylvania Medical School, was the target of one of the first public protests against grave robberies in the United States. So if you're not catching the connection yet, these are separate articles. They are not the same. They didn't even mention body snatchers. I'm telling you the name. You can go and look up this history. This is actual fact. So I'm showing you what you call the Bohemian Grove or whatever you might refer to, right? The conversation. You got that. So you have what they doing it for, the questioning of their ethics, and a system, the entertainment, to bring in the cause and effect to produce what they want through a system called hypnotism, magnetism, mesmerism. A system that's been around for a very long time of controlling the people of a society. They use that to also separate a group of people and use that to provide their bodies for research. This is not a claim, this is an actual fact. I'm going to produce all of the evidence for you. After that, it's on you. You dig? So I'm about to be up out of here. I just wanted to, come through, build with you for a minute. Let me go over here. And my fault, my fault. I meant to just go straight over. But anyway, let me put this up. All right, but with this, you are supposed to come to your own understanding. I'm gonna keep giving it to you. When you get this full information, you gonna be blown the fuck away, man. You gonna be blown away what I'm presenting to you. I'm showing you the Freemasonic connection. I'm showing you what the ulterior motive is. I'm showing you the deception and how they control you. I'm giving you all the tools of the devil. I'm pulling back the curtain. Toto home. Peace.